Good morning, everyone. Today is March 15, 2016, here at Washington Family Church in Washington, D.C. And we're reading the Cheon Seong Gyeong again. On page 770, subtopic, The Returning Resurrection of Spirits. Number 11, if you fail to equip yourself fully during the time on earth, and you end up going to the spirit world with Satan claiming dominion over your mind, how will you be able to manifest the works of God? It will be extremely difficult. If you fail to fulfill your responsibility on earth, you will have to set up your descendants in your place. You will have to set up in a position like that of the Messiah, who can save you. You will have to help them and cooperate with them, taking their circumstances into consideration. You will have no choice but to cooperate with them so that through them you will fulfill the responsibility you failed to carry out while you were alive. This is the phenomenon of returning resurrection. Number 12. Originally, human beings should not have been under Satan's rule. They should have lived in a realm of God's direct dominion. As a result of the fall, however, they came to live in the fallen realm. In order to escape from that realm, they have to pay indemnity as individuals and as families. Without indemnity, they cannot escape. Therefore, spirits unfailingly come forth through the phenomenon of returning to earth in every historical age. Some people interpret this as transmigration or reincarnation. This spiritual phenomenon applies to you as well. If you practice your faith on the individual level only and died because you never had a family, you have to go through the level of the family and eventually the levels of the tribe, people, nation, and world. You have no idea how many billions of years that would take. The time needed would be nothing short of infinite. 13. We know very well that through his death, Jesus substantially testified about his entire hope to all of heaven and earth. On the way to the cross, he prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not what I want, but what you want." In Matthew chapter 26, verse 39. As he prayed, he surely realized with intensity unrivaled by anyone that the more the fear of death washed over his heart, the closer the day of hope drew near. In other words, he felt that after going beyond the death of his physical body, a new world of hope would unfold before him. And he yearned for that world because he hoped for resurrection in an eternally liberated body after his physical death. And he yearned for it. After he died, he was able to resurrect in glory. We're now on page 771, number 14. The central root, the central trunk, the central bud are connected to me. As the mainstream, the central root, central trunk, central branch, and central bud are connected in a consistent flow to the individual level and the family level. In short, they are alive. They have gone through the returning resurrection. All those who connect as branches to the Lord of the second coming, can live. By doing this, everyone from Adam's family to the world level can stand in the position to be resurrected simultaneously. It is a work of engrafting and perfecting. In only a few years, what has multiplied for tens of thousands of years. So the kingdom of heaven and individuals and the kingdom of heaven of families on earth and even the kingdom of heaven in heaven can be completed at the same time. Number 15, I could not do two things at once, so I had to carry out separately. For that reason, centering on the spiritual standard, I established Hoon as commander-in-chief of the spirit world. The Lord of the second advent came to earth, centered on God, and in the opposite direction I sent Hoon from earth, centered on me in the position of the Lord of the second advent of the heavenly kingdom. I have united the divided spiritual and physical worlds. I had my Son carry out the work of the realm of resurrection in the spirit world in place of his living Father, with the authority of the blessing, based on the fact that the spiritual world did not have a connection to the love of true parents. Since the ceremony of rebirth, the ceremony of resurrection, and the ceremony of eternal life can now be performed based on this supreme foundation, having been laid on earth, centered on the first Israel, the second Israel, which is the United States, and the third Israel, which is Korea. The boundary line dividing the spirit world and physical world has been abolished. 16. Now there is nothing to worry about. We can just let things take their own course. What will happen is that spirits from the spirit world will return to earth. The failure to fulfill God's providence or God's providential will to save the spirit world through three stages: the Old Testament age, the New Testament age, and the completed Testament age will be completely reversed and thus will be realized automatically. Through the completion of the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the completed Testament ages, the providence automatically sets its direction and moves forward. The spirit world will set its direction centered on God and centered on the earth. The earth will not move ahead of it. The right of the eldest son will be restored based on the original standard, and God, our cosmic parent, and the Lord of the second advent on earth, that is, the parents of heaven and earth, will establish their lineage through a new ideology based on the blessing, and they will move forward horizontally. Thus, the gates to the kingdom of heaven on earth and in heaven will open automatically. There, everything will be overturned and the entire spirit world will come down. 17. We should wait eagerly for the day of resurrection. Heaven has to be resurrected through the earth. We think the base of resurrection is in heaven, but it is not. It is on earth. This earth is the center. The base of resurrection and the place of resolution are on this earth. If resurrection does not take place on the earth, the resurrection of heaven, the resurrection of humankind, the resurrection of all things, and the resurrection of people in hell will remain mere words. Therefore, a resurrected person must appear on earth first. In the spirit world, there are hell, the middle spirit world, paradise, and heaven. To this day, people who have shown loyalty to heaven have gone to paradise. Even Jesus is in paradise. In achieving the purpose of resurrection, the indirect destination is the spiritual world, and the direct destination is the earth. The spirit world is the place that must be resurrected, but the earth is where resurrection must happen first. Therefore, only when we first can declare on earth, open and close quotation, I have been resurrected, I have concluded the purpose of resurrection, can we go to the kingdom of heaven in heaven. Number 18. What is the meaning of the phrase open and close? Opening of heaven and earth. What people should be eligible to participate in the first resurrection? It is those who have passed through the gates of the blessing. That is why even the elderly in their 80s need to become young again. That may sound strange, but even grandmothers and grandfathers need to marry their spouse again. This is because in order to establish the nation of the third Israel and become its citizens, we need to pass through the gates of the blessing. So we have only a few more minutes here on my Android phone here. But we'll be reading about divine spiritual works and the spiritual phenomena, section 2. And then we'll be reading tomorrow, you pay the price for working miracles and wonders. So let me read a little bit here about the spiritual phenomena. Number 1, spirit world and earthly world are not two separate worlds cut off from each other. Under the fundamental principle of existence, they have a mutual relationship of giving and receiving, that is, mutual exchange. We began our association originally at the Holy Spirit Association, with the aim of achieving unity through divine spiritual power. What is divine spirit? It does not refer to distributing transitory spiritual power or spiritual activity. It is the power of God's love through which the spirit world and the human world can harmonize and resonate based on true love. The Unification Church movement, of course, moves the hearts of people through a lifestyle of true love, living for the sake of others, and investing oneself for others, but also through gaining the spirit world's cooperation. So we're now on page 773. We have limited time, spiritual phenomena and our attitude toward them. Number 2, in the early days of Christianity, all manner of wonders took place, including speaking in tongues, carrying out works of the divine spirit, and uttering prophecies. Because there were so many works of the divine spirit in the early church, ignorant people who did not understand the content and who encounter spiritual works here and there become confused. To overcome that confusion, they said, the words of the Bible are the best. In the Bible, we read that in the last days, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. In Joel chapter 2, verse 28, this foretells that in the final days of Christian history, the phenomena of the early church will reappear in the world. Many groups will arise and will be accused from all quarters of being insane or heretical. The Unification Church is one such group. Number 3, when those who have received an outpouring of the Spirit do not know the reason for it, heaven enlightens them. When they open their eyes, they see the spirit world, and when they act, they behave like the people in the spiritual world. Their eyes, hearts, and actions may be completely out of the ordinary. They may look like lunatics. Long ago, did Jesus appear to be a normal person? In the eyes of many people, all the time, he must have seemed like a fool or a dullard. In the future, such spiritual phenomena will sweep through us, sweep through societies, and sweep through religious bodies. Therefore, around the world today, the number of patients suffering from incomprehensible mental illnesses and diseases of the nervous system is increasing. A world of fear, a world of anxiety and fretfulness is fast approaching. This is because Jesus, the Son of God, lived his whole life engaged with the will, with fretfulness, anxiety, and an agitated heart. That is why similar phenomena will sweep the world. When that happens, people will be able to find their direction. Try as they may, and events will come to pass in which what is true seems false, and what is false seems true. An era is coming in which what is false will gain power, and what is true will lose power. An era in which what is false prospers, what is true loses its voice. We need to pass through such a period. Number 4, the more the last days advance, while some people are seized with dread, others will be seized with joy. Such developments will inevitably emerge. While there are some people who are extremely evil, there will be others who are extremely good. Something that is extremely evil cannot invade an extremely good person, and something that is extremely good cannot have anything to do with an extremely evil person. Even God will not be able to hold on to this society. A time will come when even a spiritual person, even a person who has received the grace of heaven, will be unable to unite this world. Try though he might. When the time comes, the people living in the extremely evil world, the people who have failed to form a connection with heaven, will surely find themselves subject to judgment. A time will come when a state like this will unfold in your heart. The mind desires to go this way, but the body desires to go that way. Those who struggle due to their failure to set the conditions to be able to unite their body and mind are surely bound for hell. Number 5, God carries out his providence centered on the specific religious denomination. At the time of Jesus, he developed his providence internally in advance without anyone knowing, centered on the families of Joseph and Zagery. In the same way, right after the liberation of Korea, heaven prepared the content of this providence unknown to anyone. Thus, there had to be a group that could fulfill the mission of the archangel. That was lost spiritually will have to be found substantially. And the time to do this was the time before the liberation. So in that period, one person who could carry out the mission of the archangel in the flesh had to come forth. This is why from among the people who can communicate with the spirit world, some can forward claiming they were Peter or Paul, or asserting I am the John the Baptist. The 12 disciples did not have faith in Jesus. So to atone for having failed to lay a foundation for him, their spirits have to come down, or had to come down, to lay these foundations substantially on earth. Such work has been carried out until this day. 6. What is Jesus' greatest sorrow? It is that he was unable to establish a substantial realm on earth with his disciples. The 12 disciples were unable to unite centered on Jesus. Joseph's family was also unable to become one centered on Jesus. Judaism was unable to unite, and the nation of Israel was unable to unite. Jesus tried to manage the situation based on the 12 disciples, but everything broke down. Jesus left behind the model spiritual standard, but because he could not establish the substantial standard, we need to reproduce the model of 12 disciples who established the base of spiritual victory and work with the Lords of the second advent on the earth. After the foundation has been laid, that is, once the disciples who did not believe in Jesus and expelled him can believe in him and work again, the work of the second advent can begin. That is why in the time before the liberation of Korea, among those who would communicate with the spirit world, people claimed to be Peter, John, Paul, or Abraham, and people representing many of the prophets who have come and gone in the course of history appeared all at once in the spiritual groups in the horizontal world of Korea. Number 7, up to the present day, because evil spirits have come down to earth and carried out their work, there have been phenomena such as mental illness and degradation of people's character. But this will not be the case henceforth. We will conquer our bodies, form a realm of resonance, and immediately enter the higher realm of spiritual experience. A realm of noble character will be formed. Number 8, there are only two kinds of spiritual phenomena: those that are caused by God and those that are not. We can tell right away that is, a second. We should not. There are two kinds, so we can tell right away that is when we classify spiritual phenomena as good or evil, we have a standard that tells us that what a good phenomenon should be like. We should not move forward unless we check the phenomena according to that standard. Every few hundred years or so, a period of great transition or extensive spiritual phenomena comes about. When this takes place, a nation either perishes or prospers. If evil spirits are mobilized, it perishes. If good spirits are mobilized, it prospers exceedingly. How could the fortunes of the world get mixed up with all this? It is not a simple thing. Then what is the purpose of this spiritual phenomena or of religion? The reason heaven stirs up spiritual phenomena in the course of the providence is in the end for the perfection of humankind. Number 9, the works of an evil spirit and the works of the good spirit begin in the same way, but their results are different. In both cases, there is trembling and a disturbance and the overturning of things. There seems to be no difference between the two. But what comes of these works in the end? When carried out by an evil spirit rather than profiting the world or benefiting heaven and earth, the results of such works profit only the evildoer. When you do something, it should benefit not only you as an individual or a family, where you are the center. If it is done egocentrically, whatever the good intentions, it will eventually come to naught. To some extent, the spiritual phenomena of the providence of God at the start may appear the same as the evil side. But God's providence sets its standard on the world level. A church with a purpose other than the liberation of God and the liberation of humanity cannot endure through the last days. That church will go its way based on greed and naturally collapse. Its leader will be taken away. And when that happens, that church will not connect to the environment of the age. This will be because the leader did not understand the situation he was placed in. Number 10, we who live today can witness spiritual phenomena in the world. It is a historical fact that no matter the age or time, the realm of life for religious believers and non-believers alike has intermingled with the spirit world in accordance with each person's relationship to the spirit world. We know that people live in this way throughout history, even if we do not believe in religion. Through dreams and various mystical experiences, good spirits and evil spirits dwell in the spirit world. And owing to their influence, people on earth are divided into good and evil. This is logical. Then what is our concept of a good person and an evil person? There are those who receive help from good spirits and others who receive help from evil spirits. From these two sources of help, we can judge whether a person is good or evil. 11, I think an age will come in which we can invent instruments that will help us see spiritual world phenomena. When that comes to pass, no one will be able to say there is no world of the Spirit. When your spiritual eyes are open, you can see the spiritual world. When you will be able to perceive through your senses all the phenomena, everything that exists in that world, if you could see such things as you would a weather forecast, you would not say, for example, that there is no God. Then it would be natural for religion to disappear. If there had been no fall, this would have been such a world. Things turned out the way they did because of the fall. In the process of restoration, this earth is a training center for us to bring us into reciprocal relationship with that world. So tomorrow we'll be reading You Pay the Price for Working Miracles and Wonders, number 12 on page 776. So it gave me time here. It's unusual, so tomorrow we'll be reading that. And thank you if you have reached this point. God bless. Manse manse. Have a great and wonderful Tuesday. Bye-bye.